Hello, I'm here with Professor Boban Batrićević from Montenegro. He's a writer, university professor, and he's going to speak a little bit about Montenegro, briefly about its history, system of government, human rights situation, and relations with the United States.
Hello to everybody. As you heard, I'm Boban Batrićević, professor from Montenegro. I'm historian, writer, civic activist. Montenegro is a small country on the Balkans, on the Adriatic Sea, with very small population, only 600,000 inhabitants, but with a large history and tradition of independence, and that it's very important for Montenegrin identity to say to foreigners that you were independent country when much more bigger countries than yours was without independence. So Montenegro right now is a democratic state, applicant for membership of European Union, and I hope in 2028 or 2029 we're gonna become next member of EU. It's what our official says, but deep down inside our society we saw reflections of our communist era. We are post-communist country and we live under communism more than 50 years, and all 20th century Montenegro was without independence because in 1918 we lost our independence and become part of former Yugoslavia. And that's our problem started because when you lost your independence, then it's very difficult to promote your national identity and the human rights over that. And in 2006 we regained our independence, mostly thankfully to support of United States of America, and because US diplomacy helped us a lot in that time to become independent country again, and then transition to reorganize our society. But unfortunately, these reforms in this transition era was slow, and in 2020 we have dramatic changes in political situation in Montenegro because this pro-Montenegrin government lost elections, and now we have anti-Montenegrin government, I can tell you, because our current government want more closer connections with Serbia and with Russia instead of truly pro-Montenegrin opposition who really wants our country in European Union. So that have reflections of human rights policy, because in the last 5 years we have a lot of attacks on journalists, on opposition leaders, and also on writers and human rights activists, because our Minister of Internal Affairs or our Chief of Police or Mafia, nobody wants to hear freedom, voices of freedom. Nobody wants to hear critique on their own count. So it's really right now difficult. 2 years ago, I can share my story with you. 2 years ago, I wrote one very sharp article against my government and against foreign influences in Montenegro, mostly Russian and Serbian, who really want to destabilize Montenegro. You know, Russia is a very interesting country with a big culture, but their foreign influence is not good as their writers. But Montenegrin government want to put me in a jail 2 months because I wrote this sharp article. And thankfully to organizations like UN or PEN International or Western country embassies in Montenegro, charge against me was dismissed, so I become a free man again, and that's my story for now. If you have more questions, you can ask.
So if you could talk a little bit about U.S. relations with Montenegro. You talked a little bit about how it played a role in helping you achieve independence in 2006. If you can talk a little bit about what that process was like, why so late in European history relative to other countries, and talk about the role that the U.S. played and what relations are like now.
Yes, just for information, last updates of how many Americans have Montenegrin origins, we have some calculation that is more than 100,000. So our large diaspora lives in America. That's one important fact when Montenegrins speak about America. The second is we have diplomatic connections more than 150 years, and the end of World War I, it was very important year. As I mentioned, 1918, Montenegro lost independence, and in that time France and Britain was the most powerful countries in Europe. They don't give support to Montenegro, but United States and administration of that time President Woodrow Wilson, they really promote Montenegrin question, Montenegrin problem, and they try somehow to problematize the forming of former Yugoslavia, and they sent a lot of American officers, journalists, analysts in Montenegro to see what's happening, because from 1918 to 1925 we have a small civil war in Montenegro, thousands of people died there, and America knows that problem is because one proud nation, small but proud nation, lost independence, and that became problem. But after death of President Woodrow Wilson, then Republicans came in power in America, and they decided to move out from whole Europe. Things that become politics of isolation, and then Montenegro lost the main supporter. But 1 century later, in 2006, American diplomacy helps a lot to, in that time, Montenegrin leaders to regain independence, because they saw that as a normal thing, because Montenegrins want to live in their own country from the one side. In geopolitical way, for America and for American foreign policy was very important to have one pro-European country on the Adriatic Sea, and thankfully to that, in 2017 Montenegro became member of NATO, and that was help of America also, and a lot of American ambassadors play a very important role in Montenegrin transformation. And really, beside this politics, in cultural way, we also have many connections. Many people from America, with Montenegrin origins, become very famous Americans during 20th century. It's also very important. Today, our relations are, I hope, like few years later, new American administration has new policy about the Balkans. We are afraid that if we lost American support, then somebody else will come on the Balkans with influence, like China or Russia, and I think we need more America in Europe.
And just to give a little bit of context, we've been talking about Montenegro independence.
Yes.
Can you talk about who it became independent from, and how it was part of
Yes.
the broader
Yes.
Yugoslavia? But then
Yes.
talk a little bit about that.
Yes, that's a very good question. In 1918, Montenegro became part of Yugoslavia, but Yugoslavia collapsed during the civil war on the Balkans on the end of 20th century, and nations like Croatia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Slovenia or Macedonia, they separate from Yugoslavia, and only Montenegro stay in union with Serbia in that time, because Serbia was the main country of all Yugoslavia, the center. The capital was Belgrade, today capital of Serbia. And in 2006, Montenegro separated from Serbia because we are very similar. Montenegrin Serbs are speaking the same language, they have their own opinions, but Montenegro is smaller. In our perspective, Montenegrin perspective, Montenegro looks like Ukrainian nation in comparing with Russian nation.